Yeah, in psychology, it's kind of surreal because what you're studying is the same thing as what you're using to do the studying, your brain and your own psychology.
The psychology major at MRU University. Where should we begin?
Sometimes I'm in the middle of teaching a psychology class, and in the back of my mind, I keep thinking to myself, wow, despite everything we've learned through psychology and neuroscience and consciousness, that thing in our heads that we take for granted and that we use to understand everything we ever experience is still largely a mystery. We're still trying to figure out how brain chemistry and electrical activity and all these nerve cells come together to make us aware of our surroundings, develop morality, appreciate beauty, or fall in love. You see in the news all the time what the latest psychological studies say about things like behavioral changes in people who suffer brain injuries, how we create our body image of ourselves, how people's personalities affect workplace decision-making or career choices, or people experience trauma and learn to move through it and recover over time.
People think that psychology is all about their personal psychology, their personality, their thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And it is about those things, but our major also looks at social psychology. This is the study of how the social situation affects the individual. It's an area with endless applications in society. Governments, businesses, and nonprofits need people who understand social psychology. In legal systems to help shape laws or select jury members, in healthcare planning to communicate and explain health measures to citizens, in corporations of every kind to ensure that workplace cultures are healthy ones.
When our students enter the psychology major, they get a solid general sense of the program just by looking at the range of courses we offer.
My favorite course to teach is Psych 2265, Cognitive Psychology.
One of my favorite courses to teach is Psych 2245, Social Psychology.
The titles and course descriptions point directly to the topics we look at. For instance, the Brain and Behavior course looks at psychological issues from a biological perspective. It connects physiology, brain anatomy, neurons, and neurotransmitters to things such as behavior, learning, memory, and emotions. The personality course explains how the dynamics of our individual personalities take shape. The abnormal psychology course surveys the symptoms and causes of psychological disorders. The psychopharmacology course studies the relationship between drugs, the brain, and behavior. Psychology can zero in on topics of specific interest. So, for example, we have a course on the psychology of sexuality, one on social media, another one on sports psychology, and yet another one on child development.
In the Department of Psychology, we have several eye tracking suites. These are used to track where people are looking when they're reading or going through materials. Some of our faculty do things like studying how people access websites and find information on websites, or when you're looking through reading materials, where are people looking, what are they looking? So it helps us develop better quality materials because we can see how people are actually using them. A lot of the work that we do in psychology involves empirical data collection. So we have devices like these, for example, EEG devices that collect information about the activity of a person's brain. We also have a couple of suites that we use for virtual reality equipment. So why would we want virtual reality equipment? Because we want to use this equipment for a variety of reasons. One, it's being used in corporate situations quite regularly now for meetings and efficiency in corporate settings. And so we're trying to figure out how can we make sure that technology works as well as possible for those kinds of applications. In the virtual reality labs, we also do nature therapy research. The goal of this research is to see if we can lower people's anxiety levels by exposing them to nature scenes in virtual reality. So we can use VR headsets. Sometimes it can be viewed on these screens as well. And then they might take a walk around a research space. So for example, we can take a walk over here and go into a hike that I've created in a virtual space. So if we just click on this ball, it takes us to that hike, and we can see if that will lower their anxiety level.
We're working hard to make the psychology degree immediately useful to students in terms of their professional goals. So we prioritize work-integrated learning from day one in our program. We've actually managed to work a micro internship into a first-year course, Introduction to Psychology. Students could end up reviewing research to support a mental health organization or do their own market research on psychological support services for a local business or nonprofit. The idea is to get out there working with community partners and connecting to real-world psychology-related work.
I thought that by going in psychology, my choices would be narrowed, but it actually just expanded. There was just so much more that I found, like social psych, cognitive. I was like, what can I do? I can be a psychologist and counsel people, or I can be a researcher.
For psychology grads, there are many options when it comes to careers. An undergraduate degree in psychology is the first step on the road to becoming a psychologist. Skills and knowledge gained through the degree can be deployed in other careers as well, including those in labor relations, personnel, social services, corrections, probation, public relations, gerontology, and more.
One of the most interesting things I found about psychology was actually in my Psychology of Happiness course. And one of the main trends I found in that course is that people actually don't know what makes them happy. They usually engage in activities they think will make them happier, but it actually doesn't. So leaving that course and knowing that really changed my outlook on life and what I can do to actually make myself happy in effective ways.
The instructors in the psychology program are very hands-on, and I found that they're very open to conversations, dropping in their office, whether you have questions about a lecture or an assignment. They're also great if you are wondering about next steps after post-secondary, whether that is research opportunities or volunteer opportunities. I can't say enough good things about the profs in psychology. They're amazing.